But I would like to continue with the idea of learning Yesod v'Shorish v'Avoda. We did it during Elul, if you remember. It was beautiful. I really enjoyed it. We learned different parashas, different sugyas in Yesod v'Shorish v'Avoda. So what I'm going to do is I'm not going to go keseda through the Sefer. Not because we shouldn't, we should, but simply because I'm just going to highlight some of the things that I think that I'd like to talk about and that I think we need to hear and be mechazek ourselves. So the Yesod v'Shorish v'Avoda, as we know, we mentioned this at the beginning of Elul, was one of the greatest Talmidim of the Vilna Gaon. He was the one, by the way, we're all familiar with the story of Avram ben Avram, right? Who became a Jew, he was a priest, and he converted to Yiddishkeit, and the church sentenced him to death. The story goes on and on, which we're not going to go into. And he decided, instead of converting, he's going to remain a Yid, and he is going to die. Al Kiddush Hashem. And he asked the Vilna Gaon, which bracha do you make when you die, Al Kiddush Hashem? And he asked the Vilna Gaon, can you send someone, please, to answer Amen to my bracha? And the Yesod v'Shorish v'Avoda was there, and he watched the Yid, Avram ben Avram, the Ger Tzedek. He watched him die, and answered Amen to his bracha of dying Al Kiddush Hashem. And in fact, it's brought down that the whole Al Kiddush Hashem, the whole idea of Ruach Ra. Now we're all familiar with the idea of Ruach Ra. Ruach Ra is like, there's no will to actually like sort of translate Ruach Ra. But Ruach Ra means a bad spirit in the world, right? One of the things that we're familiar with is before Nagel Vasa, the Gemara tells us, Shulchan Aruch Paskins, that you cannot touch your eyes or any other opening, your ears, your mouth, before washing Nagel Vasa, because there's a Ruach Ra that is on your hand from the night. Nagel Vasa takes off the Ruach Ra, right? There are many other halachas as well. We know Ruach Ra from, for example, foods that have Ruach Ra, right? We're all familiar in the Shulchan Aruch, and Yodeh Simon Kuv Tez Zayin Si Beis, where he brings down very clearly that there are certain halachas that if you have a peeled onion, garlics, all these sorts of things, this causes a Ruach Ra. So it's brought down after Avram ben Avram died, the Ruach Ra in the world went down. As the koyach of Ruach Ra was minimized after Avram ben Avram died Al Kiddush Hashem. So that's not our sugya for today. That was just a hagdama into the Yesod v'Shorish v'Avoda. That is the sefer that we're learning. And like I told you, we're not learning it Keseda. We're going to go jump around, skip around to just pinpoint certain things that I'd like to talk about, which I think we need a little bit of chizuk in. So today we're starting with Shar Vov, the sixth Shar, Perek Rishon. I would like to explain, he says, something to you, which is an absolute obligation on every single one of us, and I want to explain the maila, the gadlus, the importance of such a thing. Let's explain the general rule before we go to the details. We are discussing over here now the obligation of Limud Torah. Limud Torah being one of the most choshev things in the entire world, the most choshev thing that you can ever do. It's what keeps the world going, it's what keeps us alive, and it's what keeps everything in place, as we will learn. We will speak about the tremendous love, the tremendous ava for the mile of Limud Torah and the schar, and the opposite way of the bittul Torah as well, Rahman al-Tzlan. And then he's going to go into some of the details of the kavana and other things. Where is the greatness of learning Torah? Rabbi said we sit and learn every day. Where does it say that we have to learn? How great is it to sit and learn? How great is it what we do on a daily basis? However, let's say a person hasn't got enough money that he's able to sit and learn the whole day. He needs to make a parnasa. He needs to go out to work. And his younger children are relying on him. He's not able to make the Torah the main part of his world and his life and his time and his day and his schedule. And he makes his melacha arai temporary. Even though it's true, he has to go out and make a parnasa, which is the way of the world, which is how the Rebbeinu Shalom created the world after the Chet of Adam Avishan. We have to make a parnasa, we have to go out and make money. But that doesn't mean that we don't have the chiyuv of Limud Torah. וכל אדם חי באשוע, לקבוע שיר קבוע ביום ובלילה ללמוד, כמבוא בתור ירדיה, והוא בשולחן אורך, וזה לשונה. Kol ish, this is a Rambam also in the beginning of Hilchos Talmud Torah. Kol ish, Yisrael, every Yid, chayav b'Talmud Torah. Bein ani, bein asher, whether he's rich, whether he's poor. Bein shalom b'gufay, bein bal yisurim, whether he's healthy and complete, or Rachmana litzlan, he's not healthy. Bein bacha, bein zaken gadol. He could be a young person, he could be an elderly person. Afilu oleh machsa absochim. Even if he's such a poor person that he has to go knocking on people's doors to make poshets of money to buy some bread for breakfast. He's got nothing to eat. He's so poor. Even if, for example, he has a wife and he has 74 children, it doesn't make a difference. And this almost is a scary thing. The very first thing that you're going to be judged for when you leave this world after 120 years of hopefully accomplishing and fulfilling your tachlis in this world, the very first question is going to be what? This question. Shisholim say, Kavata itim l'Torah. Were you kaveya itim l'Torah? Was Torah something that's choshev to you or not? You know, that doesn't mean you spend more time on learning Torah than anything else. But was Torah choshev to you? Was it something that you looked up as, this is the part of my day? Right? My grandfather, Reb David Last, who the yeshiva is named after, so he was a yid, he was working, and he spent a lot of his day in work. He had to make a parnasa. But learning by him was the 100%. Anyone that knew him was testifying about this, was the most choshev thing in his day. In other words, he'd come back from work and the very first thing he did was sit down with his Gemara, and his wife, my grandmother would serve him supper in the middle of learning. He wouldn't sit down with her at the table, he would sit and learn there. That's what it was. For him, learning was the most choshev. When he met someone who's like, okay, what are you learning? Which Gemara are you learning, whatever it was. Yeah, he worked during the day, but Torah by him was the most choshev. And anyone will tell you, when they met him, that Torah by him was choshev. That's what we need to understand. Yes, we may have to go out and work and make a parnasa. That's wonderful, and that's beautiful, and we do it the right way. That's gavaldik. However, we have to be koveya itim the Torah. Torah has to be choshev that we do it every single day. It's not like, okay, today I don't think I have time. No, you don't have time for things that are not choshev. You always have time for things that are choshev. I don't remember how many times. Now, occasionally it happens, right? Like you're so busy, you don't have time for lunch. It doesn't happen very often. You have a quick bite, you quickly eat nash on something, whatever it may be. I need to eat. What do you want to do? I need to eat. We have time to eat? No, but I have to, right? I have to eat. Same thing with learning. Torah has to be, it's our connection to the Rabbeinu Shalom. Apart from the chiv and obligation we have to learn, it's our connection with Hashem. It's our connection with Yiddishkeit. If we do not learn, we disconnect ourselves from everything we come from. And it's one of the first questions we're going to be asked, which means it's obviously one of the most important things. Because if it wasn't one of the first questions we're going to be asked, then obviously, it wouldn't be asked. By the way, before we learn the Lashon of the Zoya, we're talking over here not learning necessarily every day, but be koveya itim l'Torah. Every day you be koveya itim l'Torah. A specific time that I'm going to be learning. After Shachos, before Shachos, after Ma'ariv, before Ma'ariv, after work, whatever it may be, we have to be koveya. And this applies, by the way, during this month, it applies during Bein Hazmanim, and it applies when you go out to work. It doesn't make a difference. Torah is what keeps us connected to Yiddishkeit. Okay? I'm going to read you a Lashon of the Zayah. So Lashon of, this is Kabbalah we're learning now, Reb Shimon Bar Yochai. I'm going to read you the translation that he brings over here. Ha'heichel Ravi. There are specific people that are, their job is to be overseeing the people that are learning Torah the whole time. In other words, there are some people that are not able to learn the whole day, but they're able to be kuvei itim Torah. They make a specific time, a set time every day. That's when they learn. They have a special place in Shemaim. They have a special place in the next world. And that's a very, very serious thing. We have to realize at the end of the day, and we'll just finish over here one last paragraph. Hine, enecha rois b'mayma anal, ki rabbi yachiv lekvei itim l'Torah b'chol eis, every moment, asher hu royas atzma ponim me'echa chasokov. Let's say I'll give you an example. Rav Dessler writes in Mechtav Eliyahu, how do we know if a person really wants to learn? How do you know if a person can say, what do you want from me? I work all day, I come home, I'm exhausted, I go to sleep. Let's say I have a 10 to 15 minute lunch break. Are you able to learn? What do you mean I have to eat? You put on a share. Put on a share. I'm saying nowadays with technology, you have no excuse. There's no, there used to be excuses. I can't learn Gemara, you have Art Scroll. I can't do this, you have apps, you have WhatsApp groups, you have Kinai Nahor. There's so many things going on. There's very, very little excuse that you could say, I can't learn right now. When you're eating your lunch, you put your headphones in, your earpieces in, listen to a shir. There's always Torah available, right? That's what you have to realize. It says with Dessler, when you show that at the times that you're not working, that you're learning, you listen to this. You ready for this? With Dessler, you're getting schar when you're working as if you're learning. Imagine that. You're working a whole day and you're getting schar as if you're learning in Koilel. What's pshat? Shortcut. It's cheating. It's not fair. The answer is, says with Dessler, if you show Hashem that at the time when you're not working, Shabbos afternoon, early in the morning, I remember staying in people's houses in America, in New York, and they were up 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning before they went to work to sit and had a 2-hour chavrusa before they went to work. That shows that you're interested in learning. Yeah, the whole day I can't do it. At least for 2 hours I can. Shabbos afternoon they were learning again. It's unbelievable. We have to show that we're interested, but we have to put it into ourselves and instill that it's something that's choshev to us. And by the way, when I sometimes ask guys who are not really religious this question, the same answer seems to come up. Do you want your kids to be religious? Or do you want your kids to have any connection to Yiddishkeit? Yeah, of course I do. I want my kids to love Yiddishkeit. So I understand. You don't love it, and you're not doing anything about it. How do you think your kids are going to get a love for Yiddishkeit? Do you think it's just going to come naturally to them if they didn't see it by you? If they don't see that their father is interested to learn, to daven, to have anything to do with Yiddishkeit, why would they want to also have any shaykhs to Yiddishkeit? And by the way, it's very subtle, but often parents give this over to kids in a very subtle way and the kids pick it up because they've got great antennas. If learning has no interest to you and you go and you show your child, listen, I'm really tired, I had a hard day in work, but you know what? Chavusa, Torah is Torah. What are you instilling in your child? Chashivas of learning Torah. It's amazing. Whereas if you say to them, oh gosh, I've got a chavusa now. Okay, whatever, You're showing them it's boring, it's not a shmak, I don't want to do it, but I'll do it anyway. So on some level, I guess you're showing them something, but in a very shvacha way. So Moshe said that many of the Yidden went off the derech in America because they said, it's shver to be Yid, it's wrong, it's shver. And it was like a shver, but they said it. And the kids chopped it and they said, well, if it's shver, I don't want to do it. So we have to realize that if we want Torah to be a part of our lives and our future generations, which we do, and I hear this from so many people, yeah, I want my kids to love Shabbos. Yeah, but you hate Shabbos. What are you doing about it? I know, well, I want my kids to love it. Well, they're not going to if you do. So that means Rabbi say, you guys have to work on this now, so that Be'ez Hashem, Be'itav Bizman, at the right time when you do get married and you have children, you've worked on it at least to some level that you enjoy it and you can show them you enjoy it so that that's contagious and you can give that over to them. As my Rosh Hashiva of Shaimak always used to say, Torah is not B'Yerusha. That means you can learn as much Torah as you want. Your kids are not going to get your knowledge, right? Now imagine you finish Shas tomorrow. They're not going to get that, right? Torah is not B'Yerusha. Avas HaTorah is B'Yerusha. The love of Torah, that's B'Yerusha. And that's something you have to work on now, right? It's never too late. You can work on it when you're 40 also. But it's much easier now, right? The Mishnah Pirkei Avos tells us that in the 4th parak, that a younger person is like a fresh piece of paper. A fresh piece of paper is much easier to write on than a piece of paper that was written on, white out or erased, whatever it was, and you're rewriting on it. An older person is like a piece of paper that was used, written on, and rubbed out, erased, whited out, whatever. You can write on it, but it's much harder, and it looks messy, it's not geschmack. You guys are at the stage where you're a fresh piece of paper. You can work on this dedication and connection to Torah, connection to Yiddishkeit. Okay, let's just finish off the chapter, parak of the Hipek Mission. L'kboil HaTorah itim zmanam harbe, zmanish l'zeh, loik zmanish l'zeh, ki kein l'shen HaKadosh Moru lanu, o la'anosha l'chon inun, t'yochel l'ishtadu b'reised lo mishtadei. There's a punishment for a person that's able to learn Torah and doesn't. And I said to someone this morning, I can't remember who it was. Many people, I think, underestimate themselves more than they overestimate themselves, right? You hear from sometimes no, that's too much for me, Rabbi, I can't do that. Yeah, do it first, yeah? I'm going to burn out, it's too much for me, calm down. Don't underestimate yourself, okay? Don't underestimate yourself, okay? Very rarely do we overestimate ourselves. Just go for it. Whatever you could do with the koyach, with the strength that the Rebbeinu Shem has given you, I say do it. Rabbi say, it's an amazing thing. Yesod v'Shorish Avodah is pointing out things that are poshet. We know these things, but just for the Chazorah's sake of things, the connection to Torah is something that we can work on now. It's something that we can understand, we can develop at this stage now, and it's important to try and put that into our lives, to make sure that we know what's important in our lives, to instill it within us, to put it into our blood, into our veins, into our very selves, so it becomes part of us. It becomes second nature. Right? I tell this to people when we're starting Daf Yomi. I try to get, every time we start a new Masechta, I try to get new guys to join in. So Baruch Hashem, this year, now by Nadorim now, I managed to get a few guys to start with me, another new Masechta. And I always say, it's too much, I can't, it's so difficult. It takes the beginning. The beginning is hard, right? Eventually, once you come into the schedule of, I need to do the Daf, like I can't finish my day without learning the Daf. I'm not here trying to advertise the Daf. Everyone has to do what's good for them. But I'm just telling you, for certain people, it's great for. But they need that kvias. They need the idea that I cannot go to sleep until I've done the Daf, right? And it should be the same thing with Limud Torah. Imagine a day of Bein Hazmanim, and it's 1 o'clock in the morning, right? And this happened in Yeshiva, by the way, right? The guys sent me a video of it. The video is they didn't learn anything. They didn't learn anything yet. They went down to the Beis Medrash in their pajamas, and they opened up the Kitzah, outside the Chavusa, and they learned it. We can't go to bed without learning. That's what it has to be. We cannot go to bed without a connection to the Rabbeinu Shalom. Davening is one connection. We're going to talk about that Be'ez Hashem at 6 o'clock when we discuss and go through the Siddur. But Torah is the greatest connection. Torah is HaKadosh Baruch Hu's script of life. It's the way the Rabbeinu Shalom created the world. Right? As Chazal tell us, he looked at the Torah and created the world. So the Torah is the blueprint of the world. So everything we learn the Torah is the Das Hashem, it's the Dvar Hashem, it's the word of Hashem, it's connecting with the Rabbeinu Shalom. Okay? If you want to get close to someone, you need to talk to them. One way is davening, we'll talk about that. The other way is learning Torah. We have to have a connection to Hashem through Torah. And the Torah, that's what the Yesod V'Shosh Avodah is teaching us over here.